Welcome to 101 Awakening. This is your birth certificate rights. So now that I've taken you to the byproducts of yourself, now let me take you through the overall picture of your birth certificate rights. Remember, the glass of house is your government. I'm now going to walk you through why God is returning your money. You are called a person or a human being. You have a parent, a man, and a woman. They are called the trustee while you are under the age of 0 to 18. They are the trusted person of a teen 0 to 18 years of age. When you were born, your mother filled out a birth certificate form that she sent to the government. The birth certificate form was sent to the government. The birth certificate form will have your real name on it in uppercase and lowercase, and your parents' name and address. The birth certificate form will have a signature of the practitioners that gave birth to you, the doctors and nurses. Your birth certificate form will have your weight and your dimensions in it. In other words, this birth certificate form will prove that you are a live birth. The government will now create a new birth certificate form and send this to your parents. The original form is now locked within your government. Because the government have your birth certificate, they will now become the trustor or the trusted realtor if anything happens to your parents. They will become the trusted realtor of your real estate, whatever your parents left to you. The government is a registered corporation. Based on your birth certificate, your government will now register you inside their corporation. Because they registered you inside the corporation, you are now the shareholder of this corporation. Let's just call it Canada. Canada will now invest on your behalf. An investment they will put in the marketplace because it grows on a daily basis. The goal of the government is to make you rich by the time you turn 19, so you could manage your own fund until you die. Therefore, the government created a trust fund based on the birth certificate that they received from your parents. You have to remember that the government is taking care of a lot of trust funds for yourself and parents and the parents before that. So if the country of Canada has 4 million people, that means your government is managing 4 million trust funds. Because the government is making so much money, they will invest it in other ways. And how do they do that? So now your government will create all these industries. So your government created all these industries. The food industry, the medical industry, banking, entertainment, clothing industries, manufacturing industries, airline industries, law industries, etc., and more and more and more. Your government created all the laws for these industries to follow. All these industries must be educated and approved by your own government in order to sell their ideas to the masses. Once that industry is approved, they will create different sub-industries. The hope is to create many sub-industries below the main industry that they created. So within the main industry of food, they will create, for example, sub-industries of this trade. They can be the byproduct foods, the produce, the restaurant industry, grocery industry, the health food industry, or the junk food industry, and so many more. So within the main industry, you could have sub-industries, and then below that will be more subs of the different industries. So you see, all your investment is growing over time. Your government is always creating ways of how they can invest your money by growing it from creating main industries and creating many sub-industries below it. Any person working inside this industry will now have to follow a common law of commerce. In other words, business industry. Remember, you are the shareholder of these industries because your government created them all. You will profit from any generated revenues and taxes from all these industries. Remember, your government is using Earth's resources to create all these industries. These are free resources on Earth. Your government is smart enough to use all these energies from Earth because they are free. Remember, while you are under the care of your parent from 0 to 18, your government will send your parents an allowance and child benefits on a monthly basis. You will also receive medical care and housing benefits. However, the government can make your life comfortable. You will get public education until such time you become 19 of age. The goal is at the age of 19, you should be able to take the trustor ownership from your government. In other words, you will now become the real estate agent of yourself. At the age of 19, with all the money given to you from your previous trustor, you should be able to deal directly with any of these industries by yourself. Or you can hire another trustor to manage all these industries for you while you take a break and relax. Or you can educate yourself further and take on any of these industries of your choice and educate yourself and receive a diploma. By receiving a diploma from any of these main industries, you will be able to manage all the different sub-industries that you have and owned. Remember, you have a choice to work for the industries of your choice or just become private and be yourself. In other words, not working for anybody because you own all these things. You're rich. Why do you need to work? But people may choose to work for any of this industry or industries because at the end, you will all benefit from the revenues that your government is now taking from all these industries. As a legal person living in Canada, any generated income by your government can now be split amongst you because you are all the shareholders of the company corporation named Canada. So let's say you turn 19 years old and you want to take the trust funds that your government is managing for you. As a person of the right age, you will now tell your government that you want to take ownership of your birth certificate in order for them to release the trust funds to you. So hopefully, your parents kept a copy of your birth certificate form, the one that she originally sent to your government and that the government locked up in the house of glass. If you don't have this form, you could always request it from your government, a copy of it, or request for the original. Remember, the original will show that you are a live birth, while the citizenship card doesn't include all those information. But what if the government doesn't want to give you your money because they mismanage the funds? And now let me take you to part 2 of this, so you can see the overall picture of today's world, why you are poor when instead you should be rich, and how we will now take that money by force from the government that embezzled all your money. So let's now go into the rabbit hole of greed and fame and misfortune in this world. See you on part 2 of your trust funds from your birth certificate rights.